Wingardium Leviosa, dude. Nice. Good day everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft mod showcase, and in this showcase we are checking out the Ars Nouveau mod. And this mod is basically a magical mod. It adds in a whole assortment of magical items including spells, rituals and familiars you can summon in, so yeah, let's get into it. And if you guys have any suggestions for mod showcases I should do in the future, please do let me know down in the comment section. And this is also the first time I'm checking out a 1.18 mod, so that's kind of exciting. It's for the latest version of Minecraft, which is fantastic. So, first thing you'll see when you spawn into your world is this book right here, the Worn Notebook. And this will actually explain everything for you, honestly. It explains everything you need to know in the mod. But if for whatever reason you lose the notebook, you can then craft it using a regular book and a lapis lazuli. And this is your guide to like absolutely everything in the mod, honestly. It just explains it all perfectly. So you get this introduction page right here, and you have the category section, and it shows you literally everything you need to know. So what you want to do is you want to click on the getting started section, and it will just have all of these little chapters here, and you can just go through all of these and you learn everything like straight away. It's just very straightforward, but I'm going to go through the basics for you right now just so you get a visual idea of what you're doing. So the first thing you want to do in this mod is craft yourself a spell book, and it's going to be, to craft it, 4 iron tools. So you got an iron shovel, an iron pickaxe, an iron sword and an iron axe combined with a book, and that will give you your novice spell book. And you can combine this with a die to change the color to whatever you want it to be. So this is the novice spell book. There's also the mage's spell book and the archmage spell book, but those cost a lot more ingredients, so you'll have to play a bit more of the mod in order to obtain some of this stuff. So we're going to grab the novice spell book for now anyway, and basically you can select your spells using the arrow keys. And you can also, so I'll just demonstrate that. So you can see in the bottom left corner, I'm scrolling through my spells. The keybinds are different for everyone. I think it's like C or V or something by default, but I changed mine to arrow keys just so I know. And you can also use V to go into your quick select. Well, mine is V anyway. You probably have a different keybind, I'm not sure. To go into your quick select, and it'll bring up this interface, and you can select the different spells this way as well. And for me, it is C to bring up the interface, and that will show you basically the book itself and how you can select the different spells. So when you bring up the interface, you'll be greeted with 3 tabs. You got your documentation tab. So this is basically like the actual book, the actual Worn Notebook, but it's built into your spell book as well, which is really convenient actually. So you can use this as well in the spell book if you want to. There's also the color picker tab, and there's also the familiars tab. So the color picker will allow you to change the color of your spell, obviously. So we can make this a totally green spell if we want to. So we're going to save that there. So this is in our 8 slot right here. And there's also the familiars tab down here, but we will get to that later because you have to get familiars first. So onto the actual spell customization. When you first open this, you'll only have these 3 tabs right here. So you'll see there's 3 sections. There's form, there's augment, and there's effect. So for form is the one you start with. So you'll have your 3 basic forms. You've touch, self, and projectile. So touch is basically when you interact with something. Self is an effect that it gives to you, and then projectile is like you shoot it out basically, and it can affect entities when you hit them, or blocks when you hit them with the projectile. And then you got the effects tab down here, and each spell can have up to 9 effects. So you've got the form, which takes up 1 slot, and then there'll also be 9 available slots, so you can fill this up with whatever you want. You can just throw in a bunch of random effects if you want to, and you can take them out by clicking them again. And if you want to, you can also name your spell. So I'm going to call this test spell 1. I'm going to put like something basic like break on this one right here. And when you're ready, you can just click create, and that will then make your spell. And you can access each one through the tabs on the right side here. So you have 10 available slots in your spell book. So if we press our keybind to open the spells, we can see the first one here actually has an icon, so it means there's a spell there, and this is called our test spell 1. So we can then turn this one on, and now you can see in the bottom left corner we are using our first test spell. And if we right click, we will use our spell, and that spell actually broke a block because it's called break. So what that one does is just break blocks, as you can imagine. So that's basically how that works. And you can, of course, if you want to add a second effect like so, we can click create. And I did say you can change the color, which you can change this to whatever you want using the color wheel here. And we can see that the effect is now green. The particles come off are green. So some spells are actually incompatible. For example, I think freeze and ignite probably are incompatible because they're ice and fire. But basically, I want to demonstrate this by putting on break and harm into this spell. So this means because I have break, I can break blocks with the spell, and I can also use harm to harm entities. So we're going to get a husk in here. I'm going to right click the husk, and as you can see, there's the harm effect. So I'm just right clicking on him, and it's doing the harm spell. And we can also use the same spell to break blocks because there's 2 of them applied. And you'll notice whenever I use a spell, it uses our mana bar down the left side. So you see the purple thing, that's your mana. And every time you use a spell, it will obviously go down. And depending on how strong the spell is, the more mana will be used every time. And you can actually get more mana by creating certain armor. You can also use like amulets and stuff. There's a lot of different ways to get more mana in the mod, so we'll just explore some of them. But that's the basics of spellcasting. You kind of get the picture. There's kind of 3 slots. Augment is for later on. It's kind of more advanced. And it just kind of it literally enhances your existing effects down here. So the form is the basic one. That's just kind of like the way that your spell is transferred to the world. The effect of the spell is just like what it actually does, and then augment is just like how strong it is. So for example, you got accelerate here and fortune. But we'll get to those later anyway. So now the basics have been covered, we can go on to this here. So we have to set up these machines. These machines are kind of essential for making some of the stuff in the mod, so we will go over those. This is the dowsing rod. The dowsing rod can be crafted using 2 archwood and 1 gold ingot. So archwood is from a very specific tree that is from the mod, and it can generate in any biome. So you have to look for an archwood tree, and then you can use that in order to make the dowsing rod here. And the dowsing rod is basically used as an easy way to find amethyst. So if we right click here, we can apply an effect, and it's called magic find and scrying. And if you look down there, you'll see a bunch of like glowing little particles. And if we go into game mode spectator and go down, as you can see, what those glowing particles are actually amethyst. It's showing you the way to amethyst, basically. That's what the effect does. So that's like a really easy way to locate it, and you need amethyst for a lot of recipes in the mod. That's the reason why they added something to help you find amethyst a lot easier. So once you've located yourself some amethyst, you will need to convert it into a source gem using this machine here called the imbuement chamber. But in order to use the imbuement chamber, you must have source. Source is kind of like the fuel that every machine uses in the mod, so you will need to get yourself some source if you want to use each of the different machines. So this one is probably like the way to start. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to craft a soul jar. Sorry, a source jar, not a soul jar. So we can craft this using our archwood slabs and 2 of any kind of glass, and that will give us a source jar. And it looks like this when you first get it. It's just going to be empty like so. Can you just not be here? So what we need to do now is we have to fill up our source jar with source. And to obtain source, there's a few different ways. 2 of the main ways are from animals. Animals fill up source, and also by crops and different plants and stuff growing. So I set this one up earlier. These are now fully grown, and this right here is a agronomic source link. So you'll need to make this as well. You need to make this and the source jar. And as you can see, it's 11% full, this source jar right here. You can see in the top left corner how full it is. It says 11%, and that's from all of these growing. So it doesn't fill up very quickly, as you can tell. It takes quite a while for it to fill up. So to craft the agronomic source link, it's going to be 2 source gems, 2 gold ingots, and 1 wheat. So we will get to source gems in just a second, because I know that that's an interesting recipe. But yeah, basically the way that you can fill up source is by growing crops or like growing plants and stuff, and having animals nearby. That will fill up your source very slowly. And I think it's within a 6-block range of the source jar, and if stuff is around, it will then be channeled from this into the source jar. And it also comes in buckets, so if you want to, you can just right click to take the source out of the source jar and put it into a different source jar or something like that, whatever you want to do with it. So now that you have your source in this jar here, and you also have your imbuement chamber, you can then grab yourself either lapis lazuli or amethyst. This is why the amethyst was important. So we can grab these 2, we can place our amethyst in here. As you can see, some particles are being like applied to it right now, and this won't work unless there's source around it for it to actually be fueled. So it'll take a little while, depending on how many source jars are around it. Like the more source jars there are around it, the quicker it'll happen. But this only has 1, so it's going to take a little while, I think. And there we have it. We got ourselves a source gem, and that's basically the kind of like how would you say, the material used to craft pretty much everything in the mod. Well, like most of the machines anyway, for sure. And that's why you need the imbuement table. It's very important to get these source gems so you can do the stuff later on. So once you've gotten your source gems, you can then start crafting some other stuff. So what we've got here is a scribe's table, and a scribe's table is crafted using 4 sticks, 1 log of any kind, and 3 archwood slabs, like so, and that will give you this thing right here. And what we can do with this is we can then apply spells to parchments, to casting wands, and to our spellbooks as well. We can unlock new spells. So if we were to right click the scribes table with our novice spellbook, as you can see, it shows all the glyphs right here that you can unlock. So we can go to tier 1. So this is a novice spellbook, so we can only use tier 1 glyphs. But if we had a mage's spellbook, we could use tier 2. And if we had an archmage's, we could use a tier 3. So that's why you have to upgrade your spellbooks over time. Right now, it's currently showing all the glyphs. We don't want that because we can't use all of them at the moment. So we're just going to go to tier 1 at the side here. And as you can see, these are the ones that we can actually get at the moment. So what we can do is we can unlock these using different ingredients as well as 3 enchantment levels. So as you can see, each one of these requires 3 levels, 3 enchantment levels, and also a certain amount of ingredients. And if you go to tier 2, it will require 5 enchantment levels and different ingredients. And tier 3 is 10 enchantment levels and different ingredients. So if we were to, for example, go for aquatic, what we want to do is we click this and we do select. And the table will go kind of invisible and it will show you what ingredients you need to put onto it. So I have the ingredients right here. And as you can see, it shows this, which is actually water essence. This can be found or can be got using the imbuement chamber. And it also takes 2 of any kind of fish. So we're going to toss our fish on here and also our water essence. And that will then create our glyph of aquatic. So we can then take this, right click it, take it off the table. And if we right click the glyph of aquatic, it will then say unlocked the glyph down here. So this one was aquatic, so it unlocked the aquatic glyph. And what this basically means is you can now use it in your spellbook. So if we open our spells, this will now be here because we just unlocked it. So that's basically the way that you can unlock the different effect spells using the scribes table. And if you don't feel like actually using the spellbook, what you can do is you can use a parchment instead. So to craft a blank parchment, it's going to be 8 mage bloom fibers and a paper. To get mage bloom, we'll get to that in just a second, but you can craft a blank parchment using this, and then to make a spell parchment, you combine it with 4 source gems in a crafting table, and that will give you this. And then you can describe this with a spell at a parchment table as well if you want to. But this works a little bit differently to the spellbook because you don't right click the glyph to get it onto the paper. You have to shift right click the scroll or the parchment with a glyph, and it will put that onto the scroll. Right, so next what you want to do is you want to get yourself some of those fibers we were talking about, because then you can make some of that armor over there, and that armor will give you more mana, and it will also make your spells more powerful and give you quicker mana regeneration and stuff. So let's get into it. So what we want to do is we want to craft ourselves an enchanting apparatus, an arcane core, and 8 arcane pedestals. So to craft the enchanting apparatus, it's going to be 3 arcane stone, 4 iron ingot, and 1 diamond. To craft the arcane stone, it's 1 source gem surrounded by 8 of any kind of stone. For the arcane core, it's going to be 6 arcane stone and 2 gold ingots. And for the arcane pedestals, it's going to be 7 arcane stone in this pattern like so, and you want to get 8 of those. And once you've actually crafted your 3 different blocks, what you want to do is you want to place them in this pattern like so. So you want to have your arcane core at the bottom. On top of that, you want to have the enchanting apparatus, and then surrounded by your pedestals, all 8 of your pedestals. Well, you can have up to 8, but basically you need, for example, some recipes will only need like 4, so you only need like 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 pedestals right here, but some of the recipes will take 8, so you need to have all the slots filled in to do some of the recipes. So that's just why I have them all filled in right now. And this is basically kind of how you do crafting in the mod. So you actually place your different items on these pedestals, and it will then craft them into certain items that you need. So the first and probably most important recipe we'll need is to make the mage bloom seed. So this is the only way to get this plant here, and this is basically how you get the fibers to craft the armor. So you need to actually make a mage bloom seed, and then you can harvest these to make the armor. So I'll show you what I mean when I say that you can craft using these over here. So we're going to grab our 4 source gems and our 1 wheat seed. I'm going to place each one of these on a pedestal, and then the wheat seed in the middle. And then you'll see some magic happening, and it will then craft you. It might take a while, but it will craft you. Ta-da! Okay, so it glitched a bit. It wouldn't show the thing on the it wouldn't show the finished thing on the enchanting apparatus, but basically this was on it, the mage bloom seed. So it turned our 5 ingredients into the mage bloom seed, and now we can plant our mage bloom seed just like a normal crop in some tilled soil. And we can use bone meal if we want, and just bone meal it up into our full version of this. And this is our mage bloom, and this is the finished crop right here. And then we can put this in a crafting table. So once you harvest this, it will drop this plant right here. You can put it in a crafting table and it will give you 4 mage bloom fibers. And then you can use the mage bloom fibers, whoa, what a tongue twister, to craft yourself this armor set right here, which is the novice armor. So you can use the fibers like so, just like a regular armor set would be crafted, and that'll give you your novice armor. And this will increase your mana, and it'll make your mana regenerate faster, and it's a little bit worse than iron, I think. But if you don't want to settle for that, you can then make the mage armor, and the mage armor is crafted using blaze fibers in those recipes instead of the regular mage bloom fibers. So to craft yourself blaze fibers instead, what you want to do is you want to put 2 mage bloom fiber and a blaze powder into a crafting table, and it'll give you 2 every time. So then you can craft them into your mage armor like so. And then you can go one step further by making the archmage armor. And this can be crafted using the blaze fibers, which we just created using the blaze powder and the mage bloom in the crafting table. You can then combine the 2 blaze fiber and a popped chorus fruit to give you 2 end fiber. And with the end fiber, you can then craft the armor like normal, and that will give you the archmage armor. And this is actually a little bit worse than netherite, so it's better than diamond. And this is the best armor you can have in terms of magic, because it'll give you the most mana regeneration and the most mana in general. So we're going to throw on some of this lovely purple armor right now, just so I can test it out. Yeah, look at that, it looks beautiful. So yeah, that's basically how you get the armor, and the armor is definitely something you want to have when you're casting spells, because mana runs out so quickly. So having the extra bit and extra mana regeneration really does help. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to show off through the mobs now. These are the 3 hostile mobs you can find in the world. So we got the wilden mobs. So these will, I think, only spawn at nighttime. I'm pretty sure they only spawn at nighttime. But first up, we got the wilden stalker, who is this guy. And this guy will actually fly, by the way. He flies. He like soars in the air. But they do only spawn at nighttime. Then we got the wilden guardian, and he's literally just like a polar bear crossed with a guardian. He's really weird looking. And he acts the exact same as a guardian, actually. He has the same spike attack, and he also has the laser beam that shoots you when you're near him as well. So that's that guy. He's not really one that you want to mess with. And then finally there's the wilden hunter, and this guy's like a wolf goat, werewolf goat man looking dude. He's really weird looking, but yeah, these 3 are kind of crazy, so just be careful if you're going to mess with them. This guy's probably the easiest to kill, even though he flies. These guys do spawn in flocks, by the way, or like a couple of them at a time, so be careful, because there'll be like 3 or 4 of them diving you probably, so just keep that in mind. And now we're going to move on to rituals, and rituals are actually like a more powerful version of spells, pretty much. But they are a little bit harder to create sometimes, because you can't really like cast them. You don't have as much control over casting them as you would have with spells. Like, they have to come from this altar right here, or the ritual brazier. So to craft this, it's going to be 1 block of source gem and 3 gold ingots, as well as an arcane pedestal, which we crafted over there. And when you've created this, you just want to place it down, and then you can use these things called tablets on the altar itself, and it will then cast the effect in the local area. So to craft the tablets, it's a different recipe for all of them, but the general idea is that you want to have an archwood log, and then like 4 of whatever ingredient, and like a block of lapis lazuli, I think. Yeah, these 2 ingredients are consistent, but the rest can change. So you want to go find a wilden spike, for example, you have to get by killing these guys. Wilden horns and wilden wings, you have to kill like these 3 guys to get those, pretty much. So we're going to grab one of these right here. So this is actually a tablet of flight, so this will allow creative mode flight in survival. So I'm going to go to survival here, but these guys might kill me, I'm going to be honest. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god. Okay, this is harm, isn't it? I think. Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Right, so right now our what's it called is coming in very useful, our archmage armor, because also I meant to say it will regenerate the armor naturally at the cost of mana. How are they still alive? Like the master guy died. I don't know why they were still there. But these will regenerate naturally at the cost of mana, so they will slowly, the durability will slowly come back up to full, and it will use up your mana. As you can see, this guy is actually using the same attacks as a guardian, so he literally is the same as a guardian, but he just walks around on the surface. But anyway, back to over here. So this, as I said, will allow, this one, will allow creative mode flight. And you can see what tablet it's running at the top left here. So we can put our tablet in here. So as you can see, it took it out of my hand. And if we right click, it will then apply the effect. But because I already used this earlier, I think it needs source in order to work. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, cool. So it applied it to the local area. So now we're in survival mode. Keep that in mind. I can double tap, and now I'm flying like it's creative. Oh my god, crazy. As you can see, I have an effect here called flight, and I'm literally flying around in survival. And if I want to get the effect refilled, all I have to do is come back to the brazier thing here, and it should be, oh yeah, because I don't have any source. So source, you will need like source, like these, the jar things over there. You will need those in order to keep powering this, because it runs out if you don't power it after its first use. But yeah, these are all the tablets basically, and there's some very, very powerful ones here. Like we've got restoration, which is healing. You got cloud shaping, which changes the weather. You got moonfall, changes the time of day to night. And yeah, there's just a bunch of really, really strong ones in there. And one that we're focusing on in particular is for the next part, which is the familiars. And this is the final thing I want to take a look at in the showcase. So the familiars one, basically it's the tablet of binding. Wait, where is it even? I think I put it over here. The tablet of binding basically will allow you to actually like bind different mobs to you as your own familiar. So there's 5 mobs currently that you can have as your own familiar in the mod, and they are the bookworm, the drigme, the whirlsprig, the starbuncle, and the wixie. And they also like Pokemon, to be honest. But yeah, basically you can use them with a brazier thingy. What's it called? The ritual brazier. You can use the regular mob with the tablet of binding in order to turn them into a familiar. So we're going to get the first one here, which is the bookworm. And the way to actually get this guy in survival is found in the guide. I won't go over it right now because the showcase is going on a while. So yeah, but anyway, basically you want to summon this guy in, and then once you summon him in, you can use the tablet of binding on your ritual brazier, and it will then create the effect. So it just ate our tablet right now. If we right click, it will do it, and anything in the local area, I think it's within 6 blocks, it'll turn your mob into a script. And if you right click with this script, as you can see, it says familiar unlocked down here. And if we go into our spell book, we can now see in the familiars tab, we've unlocked ourselves a bookworm. So each time you do that, it'll unlock each of the different familiars. We're going to do that with the drigme too, and also the I think the wixie. For some reason, I was trying to do this earlier. The wixie is dying instantly when I spawn her in, so I can't actually show her off. Maybe it's because I'm in this biome or something. I have no idea, but she's just dying instantly, so I can't show it off, unfortunately. So spawn the drigme in, and we're going to do the same ritual again. So we're going to use the tablet, and we're going to right click on the altar again, and it should now turn the drigme into the glyph. And if we right click the script, sorry, if we right click the script, it will now unlock the familiar, and we can go into our book. As you can see, we have these 4 now unlocked, and I can't unfortunately unlock the wixie because she's broken. I don't know why she's dying instantly when she spawns in, but yeah, it's whatever. And then you can just use the spellbook to go into your familiars tab, and you can click on whichever familiar you want to summon, and you'll get an effect called familiar sickness. And this just basically means you can't summon in another familiar for a little while after you summon in one of them. So I summon in the bookworm here, and basically each familiar has a different effect, and they're all very useful. So the bookworm reduces the cost of spells cast, and he increases spell damage. So your spells will be more effective, they deal more damage, and the cost, so it'll use less mana basically when you use the spell as well. And the drigme increases the damage of earth spells by 2, and it also increases mob loot from enemies, so you'll get more drops from enemies when you kill them. And the whirlsprig reduces the cost of elemental earth glyphs by half, so they're actually a lot cheaper, and you get more saturation when you eat food when you have this familiar active. So if you were to eat like a steak, it would give you more than just the regular 4 saturation if you have this familiar active. Okay, it works. Okay, so I actually went into creative, or like into the menu, and I was able to get the glyphs regularly. So I got the wixie, she's working now, but the wild wixie for some reason dies instantly. I don't know why that is, but my familiar wixie actually works. So I'm going to take the effect away again, and I can now summon in the starbuncle to show this properly. So the starbuncle will give you speed 2, like always, so you just always have speed 2 as long as this familiar is active. And what you can do with this guy as well, you can give him a gold nugget, and then it will give the effect of glowing to wherever gold ore is. So if it finds gold ore for you, basically. So if we look down, we can see where all the gold ore is generating in the world as well, because we gave this guy our gold nugget. So he is very good for finding gold. And the wixie, wherever she is, I have her active, but I don't know where she went. Anyway, basically, she will increase the duration of potions, and she will apply harmful effects to enemies while you're in battle. So if I could find her, that would be incredible, but I don't know where she is. Okay, it has just occurred to me you can only have one familiar active at a time. That makes so much sense. I was so confused why she just disappeared. But yeah, anyway, so I'm going to summon in a husk for a second. And I'm going to go into survival. And I'm going to punch this guy. And she should now attack him with potions. No? Are you just going to... Oh, I didn't mean to punch her. Are you just going to sit there? Wait, if he attacks me, maybe. What? Okay. Are you gonna help, or... No? You don't... No? Fine. I'll do it myself. Stupid Wixie. But yeah, that's basically all the different familiars, and they are all very useful except for the Wixie. The Wixie just sucks, I think. But anyway, yeah, that's basically all there is to the mod. It's really interesting. It's a really, really, really cool magic mod. I don't see many mods, like magic-based mods, that are like super in-depth and have a lot to them. There is so much more to this mod, by the way, but I don't want to bore you with the details, so I will let you go explore it. If you want to check it out for yourself, you can go to the documentation book, and it will literally give you all the information you need right here. So yeah. But yeah, that's the Ars Nouveau mod, and it adds a lot of very cool features to your Minecraft world. And that will do it for this mod showcase. I would like to thank you so much for watching, and if you would like to check out the mod, there is a link down in the description of the video you can go to, as well as a link to a playlist with all the other mod showcases I've done. If you enjoyed the video, please do drop it a like to show some love. Also, if you are new to the channel, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe and turn on notifications. That'd be amazing. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.